My name is Lucas. I'm 27 years old. I am an illustrator, sort of. I technically haven't graduated yet. But more importantly, I am almost entirely blind. If you take a look at my social media, this probably doesn't come as a surprise. If you know me in real life, this doesn't come as a surprise. But I practically cannot see with my left eye, and I can, on a good day, maybe see half with what I'm supposed to with my right eye. So my vision is pretty limited. Yet I am an illustrator, so that does get in the way. I postponed graduating two times, I think. Now this is my third attempt. When I first started to lose my eyesight, I remember that I had several procedures. I think I had somewhere between 40 to 60 minimal procedures and four major surgeries. Um, every time they would do anything, they would really explain it in great detail, and they would make sure that I was like comfortable with what was happening. It isn't an easy situation to go through because they are still working on your eyes, and that's not comfortable. But they do tend to make sure that you are at ease, and this is something that sadly isn't really reflected in the social uh, impact that it's going to have. When I first started to lose my eyesight, I was really scared that people were going to treat me differently, which does happen. And I'll be honest, it isn't always a bad thing, but I genuinely did fear this because I felt like, oh, they're going to take pity on me. Well, I've since come to realize it isn't necessarily pity when they treat you differently, and that is how I initially felt. In my graduation project, which is called All Eyes on Me. In the project, we follow the character of Callan Stone. Callan is a very fictionalized version of me and the fears that I have about my eyesight. Um, his personality is not always reflective of my own, but I think that I did a pretty good job of capturing the fears that I previously mentioned, because Callan essentially secludes himself, and anyone who's even nice to him, he sees as someone taking pity on him. So he sort of rejects them, and he decides, maybe I'm better off on my own. But the fact is, he still needs help. So that's sort of where his struggle is. He needs help, and it's not that he doesn't want to be social. It's just that he has this very messed up idea in his head. All of this gets very much interrupted by the character Dash. Dash is a very extroverted person. He is loud. He is very social in a way that Callan absolutely is not. And Dash wants to help him, despite Callan even having a bad reputation, which is another one of those fears that I mentioned. Because, well, I fear that if I don't look people in the eye, or maybe ignore them at one point because I don't see them, they're going to think he's just antisocial or something like that. And in the story, it has given Callan a very bad reputation. Dash, however, sees something good in him, and that's why they essentially become friends. However, Dash is eventually also confronted by the fact that some of Callan's fears are real. Not everyone believes him, and because he is such a secluded person, not everyone even knows about his situation, which does play into another one of my fears that I sadly wasn't able to touch upon in this part of the story. But it is also a good point to make that this isn't the end of the story. The fear that I'm talking about there is constantly having to explain my disability, or rather, people might misinterpret something that I do or say when they don't know I have this disability, and I don't constantly want to signal to the world. The story is far from done. This is the first chapter. I titled it first chapter as well, because I want to do so much more with this, because I think it can be educational, but it also is somewhat therapeutic for me. And I think that this method of working really exemplifies what I want and almost need to do right now. And when I say need, I don't think I'm exaggerating there, because when I was practically unable to see anything, when both my eyes were at their worst, I still find myself really wanting to draw. I was unable to, but I definitely tried on several occasions, and well, none of those works survived because they definitely weren't worth it. But I was really struggling with it that I wasn't able to draw for maybe 2 or 3 weeks at that time. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.